Hello again everyone, I'm Sean and welcome back to Luthier. This is video 4 in my Great Guitar Build-Off series of 2021. For those of you who haven't seen the previous ones, we are building this, a semi-hollow carved top Jazzmaster style with a multi-scale fretboard, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm really, the more I do on it, the more I like it. So welcome. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you enjoy this video, drop a comment if you like it and all that good stuff. But for now, grab yourself a cup of tea, coffee, hot chocolate, whatever your warm beverage of choice is, get comfortable, relax and enjoy. Starting this episode off, we're going to put the guitar to the side for the moment and I want to make a headstock veneer. So I have this nice piece with just a little bit of colouring on the side. What I'm going to do is chop off a piece that's about 50 mil wide, which is generally oversized for half of most guitar headstocks. And then I'll square that all up in the jointer and everything, put it through the bandsaw and take off I'll probably cut it at 4 mil and then bring it down to 3 at the end of the day. Prepare a 3 mil veneer out of this. I'm gonna have to take 2 slices so that I can book match them. That's why I've picked this bit here, which you can see from the end. The first slice will be that, and the second slice will be slightly less. It'll look well, and it will match what we're doing on the top. So that's step 1. Go out, do that, and then I'm gonna just use a bit of masking tape. Once that edge is really perfect, just a little bit of masking tape will hold together while it glues. So away we go. Let's get started. With that veneer all glued up, we can turn our attention back to the main body on the main guitar. So from the glue up process, there's a little bit of an overhang here. So we're gonna head out onto the belt and spindle sanders and just sand up to the body line with all of that. And I will put a fine grit paper onto the sanders as well. Try and get that as close to finished as possible, really. As well as that, I'm going to take out the pickguard, which is a tight fit, and I'm going to put a little bit of a bevel or a chamfer the whole way around the inside and do the same onto the body itself. I'm doing that for show mainly, but also in case there are any gaps. There's a few little gaps around the place. and that will kind of blend them in. Don't be so noticeable. It's not a bad thing that there's gaps, because obviously large piece of wood, it's going to expand and contract. So putting a little bit of a gap around the edge is a good idea, so that you can actually remove it all around the year, basically. So we'll head out, we'll do that, and meet back here when that's all finished. Away we go. All done and dusted. I am super happy with this result. I think it looks it just brings the look up to the next level, which I am delighted with. Next thing I want to do is to install side dots. It's a little bit easier now when the neck is still square, and I just have to be careful not to go into the neck in my carving. And after the side dots, I'm going to cut out and install all of the frets. So for side dots, I'm using 2mm mother of pearl. It will match the 2 rays in that, which I'm happy about. And for frets, I'm going to be using Evo Gold. And that will match color scheme, not quite just yet, but you'll see it later on, don't worry. So for the frets, since we obviously have binding, I will also need to use my tang nibbler to just take away the little bit of tang that goes over the binding. And I'm going to use a hammer to install them as well, because the compound radius, and the wire that we have is pre-radiused for a 12-inch radius, so it will be fine up to about there on this neck, but then it transitions to a tighter radius, so I will need to re-radius the fret wire. So I'm going to head away, get all of that done now, and then we're going to be on to carving the neck. I'm not going to do a full fret level crown and polish just yet. I'm just going to install the frets and bevel the edges and leave it there for now, and then come back later on and sort that all out. Okay, away we go. I'm also going to use this pretty cool jig that I have. Got an insert for thinner style bodies, but it goes into a dog hole, and then it holds it upright. Really stupid simple jig, but it's actually super handy for doing exactly this. That went real well, and I'm actually quite happy with how these frets look. They're a little bit out of place at the moment, which I am very aware of, but once there's finish applied and once there are one or two little other bits with brass in them, they won't look out of place at all. For now, we're going to leave these unleveled, unpolished, uncrowned, all of that, and carve the neck, which is one bit I've been looking forward to pretty much since I started this project. So I am going to use a technique called facet carving, which we teach here in the Crimson School of Luthier, which I have really grown to like. I've always been someone who's carved kind of purely by hand on the fly by the seat of my pants, but since coming here I've been using facet carving and I really, really like it because it's super simple and it's really, really quick as well. It's really quick. So I'm going to use that to carve an asymmetric neck that tapers from a V to a C shape. And usually with our facet carving, we will draw a line down the middle and then draw two lines in the middle of these new sections. So essentially you're quartering the neck. We'll come up a couple of millimeters from the fretboard and then we'll remove that first facet and then halve that distance, remove that facet. And you know what? Let's bring you in close. I'll draw it out. So if you imagine for a second, this is our neck. Usually we'll draw a center line and we'll split these two bits and we'll come up. In fact, this is our fretboard here. We'll come up a few mil from the fretboard. What we will do then is we shall remove all of this material. So what we end up with then is that. So we'll then come in and have this remaining facet and then come down this distance X, come down that much there and remove that facet. And we'll also go to the fretboard and up here, which we'll call distance Y, which is the amount we've come up from the fretboard, and we'll remove that facet too. So you end up with something like that. This is way out of proportion, but we can then come back with a new Asaki file and just kind of round that, round that, round that, and that, and you get a good C shape. So by adjusting these measurements, instead of half, I'm going to go half and then come back in a few mil. That should give me a V-shape profile. And that's pretty much it. That's facet carving in a nutshell. Hopefully that makes sense for people, even though it's now upside down for everyone. This looks like a mess. Anyway, going to go ahead, facet carve this neck, and yeah, I can then move on to a volute here, which is going to come down to there. In fact, this is very strange because something like that. Okay, so go ahead, do all of this. And how about that? One asymmetrical neck and some kind of a volute. It's a weird looking one just because of the fanned nut, but it's pretty good. I'm very happy with it. Next thing to do is to position this overlay. Now, usually I would just make that 90 degrees to the center line, put it up against the nut, job done. Obviously, we can't do that because if we do that, it just won't look right. So I'm going to put this onto the center line. So I'll put my nut in place, bring this up to it along the center line. And also, it would help if I had a center line down there, wouldn't it? So that is now along the center line itself. I'll measure the distance here, which is the gap, which is 12.5 mil. So the difference there is a half an inch, or 12 mil. So if I score my line at 90 degrees, come back 12.5 mil, and score another line. Basically, I can go there to there, and measuring my nut width, which is 42 mil, I should be able to put the center on the center, measure 42 mil, which is 21 and 21, and then that will be the angle that I need for my veneer to match. So, have my angle that I need. I'm going to cut that on the bandsaw and then thickness the entire piece to 3 mil, at the 2.5 mil. Now, I've been playing with the idea of putting a radius onto the headstock, which I think I'm going to do. The question is, no, there's no question. I'm going to radius the headstock as it is now, have this at 2.5 mil, and put it on and bend it to it, conform it to the radius for gluing. I think that'll be a really, really cool effect. So, I'm going to go ahead and bandsaw this. Then I'm going to thickness it down to 2.5 mil with the thickness sander. Then I'm going to radius this and finally glue on the veneer. So let's go get all of that done. And that is where we're going to finish this one, guys. That is it for part 4. So thank you so much for watching this far, if you watched it all. I think we got a good bit done. I'm very, very happy with where we got to. And a good lesson is do not glue the wings on before you do the fretwork. I should have listened to Dan, I think it was, told me not to do that. Anyway, doesn't matter. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit like, leave a comment, and make doubly sure to hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I post my next video. There's only going to be 6 in this one, guys, but they should be good. So, once again, thank you very, very much, and I will see you all again soon.